Hey everyone. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. It really helps YouTube recommend more stories like this one to you. Alright, let's jump right in.
The second I saw her face in the booth, I felt something tighten in my chest. I don't know why. She looked normal, beautiful, even, but something about the way she sat there. Hands folded perfectly on the table, eyes locked on the door like she'd been waiting forever. Put me on edge. It was my first time using Tinder in over a year. Her name was Leela, no last name. 4 pictures, a blurry mirror selfie, one at a beach, one in a bookstore, and one black and white shot of her face close up. Her messages were short, kind of robotic, but polite. No emojis, no small talk. She just asked if I wanted to get food. She picked the place. An old school diner a little outside town. I showed up 2 minutes late, and she was already there. She didn't smile when I walked over. Just stared at me, like she was watching a video she'd already seen before. I remember saying, "Hey, sorry I'm late," and sliding into the booth across from her. Still, no smile. She tilted her head slightly, like she was listening to a sound I couldn't hear. "Lila?" I asked. Her lips parted, finally. "You're different in person." That should have been my cue to bounce. But I laughed it off and opened the menu. It took me a few seconds to realize. She didn't have one. There wasn't even a glass of water in front of her. "You already order?" I asked. She blinked once, then shook her head. "I'm not hungry." Weird. Okay, but I was starving, and I figured maybe she'd eat later or just wasn't in the mood. Some people get nervous on first dates, right? I ordered a burger and fries. She watched me order, then kept her eyes on me while I thanked the waitress. Not once did she glance away. Not at the menu, not at her phone, nothing. Just me. It wasn't flirty. It wasn't even curiosity. It felt like she was studying me. "I'm probably not as exciting as I looked in my pictures," I joked, trying to shake the weird tension. She leaned in slightly, voice low. "You looked better before." I kind of laughed, assuming it was a bad joke. But her face didn't change. She just kept watching. The waitress brought my food out. I started eating, and Lila still said nothing. She didn't check her phone once. She didn't glance around the diner. She didn't blink much either. She just sat there, motionless, while I ate, like this was some kind of twisted performance, and she was the only audience. At one point, I asked, "Sure you don't want anything?" She shook her head. "No, I'm full." I pushed my plate a little, suddenly very aware of the sound my chewing made. I took a sip of my drink to fill the silence. The tension was suffocating. "You don't talk much, huh?" I said, trying to smile. Her expression didn't change. "I already know how this ends." I froze mid-chew. "What do you mean?" She blinked slowly, as if I was wasting her time by asking. "You don't remember, do you?" I stared at her, trying to figure out if she was messing with me. "Have we met before?" She tilted her head the other way now. "Kind of." That was it. I set my fork down and wiped my hands, already halfway out of the booth. "I'm sorry," I said. "This is just kind of weird. I think I'm gonna head out." She didn't stop me. Didn't protest. Just said softly, "You always leave early." I turned to look at her. "What?" "You always leave around this time." Before I get a chance to explain, goosebumps rose on my arms. "You're scaring me," I said. She didn't answer. Just smiled small, sad, like she pitied me. I left money on the table and walked out without looking back. The next day, I unmatched her on Tinder. I couldn't stop thinking about the way she looked at me. Like she knew me, but not from real life. Like she knew me from somewhere deeper, like a recurring nightmare. That night, I went through my Tinder messages looking for our chat, but it was just gone. Not even in my match history. Fine, Weird girl, weird night, move on. Except 2 days later, I got a DM on Instagram from an account with no profile picture. Just one message: "You never finish your food." I didn't respond. Blocked the account immediately. The next night, I ordered takeout. Thai. Halfway through the meal, my phone buzzed again. New number. No name. One text: "You said you liked spicy." That's new. I stood up and checked the locks on my door. Looked out the window. Nothing. Maybe she somehow found my address. I couldn't figure it out. I hadn't told her anything specific. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face across that diner booth. Still, empty, expecting something. 2 days later, I saw her again, not in person. On Tinder, new name. Different photos, but the same eyes. Same stare. This time, she messaged first: "Why do you keep trying to forget me?" I unmatched. Again. That night, someone knocked on my door at 1:13 a.m. Just 2 soft taps. I froze in bed, heart hammering. No one ever visits me that late. No friends nearby. No packages. I waited, silent. Another 2 taps. Slower. Closer. Somehow. I finally worked up the courage to check the PEPHOLE. No one was there, but there was something on the ground. I opened the door slowly. Looked down. It was a receipt. From that same diner. 1 burger. 1 fries. 1 Coke. And under the printed items, in red pen: "Don't leave this time." After I found the receipt on my doorstep, I stopped leaving the apartment. I know how that sounds. But once you've seen something like that, your exact order, handwritten like a threat, showing up in the middle of the night, you stop pretending things are normal. I barely ate. Barely slept. I kept my curtains shut and double-locked every door. I even put tape over the peephole because it started to feel like someone could see in, not the other way around. I thought maybe I was losing it. Maybe I wanted to be afraid. Maybe I was lonely and just spiraling. So I tried to logic my way out. I called the diner. A guy picked up. I asked if a woman named Leela had made a reservation there a few nights ago. He paused for a long time, then said, "We don't take reservations. First come, first serve." Right. I asked again, had anyone been in, alone, sitting in a booth near the back on Tuesday night? Another pause. Then, "You were here. Burger and fries. Sat alone. You didn't say much." I nearly dropped the phone. "No," I said. "I was with someone. A woman. Dark hair, pale. She said her name was Leela." Silence. Then almost gently he said, "I remember you, man, but you were alone." I started checking my security cameras. I've got a cheap doorbell cam and a hallway cam I installed last year after someone tried breaking into the building's laundry room. Nothing fancy. But when I looked at the footage from the night someone knocked, it was blank. Exactly at 1:13 a.m., there was a glitch. Static for 6 seconds. Then the camera came back on, showing the receipt lying there on the mat. I backed up the footage. Frame by frame. No one approached the door. No one left the paper. It just appeared. My throat felt tight for hours after that. Like I couldn't quite swallow the fear. I started dreaming about her. Not normal dreams. Either. In them, I was always back in the diner. Same booth. Same meal. And across from me, she sat. Still, watching. In one dream, I looked down and saw my hands were covered in ketchup. Except it wasn't ketchup. I knew that, even though I never looked closer. In another, she leaned in close and whispered, "You're getting worse." I'd wake up gasping. My sheets soaked in sweat. The shadows in my room felt deeper, like the corners were stretching toward me. One night, I got brave, or maybe just desperate, and re-downloaded Tinder. Maybe, I thought, I could find her again. Figure out what she wanted. Put an end to it. I swiped right on a few random profiles just to get started. Then her face appeared, not a match. Just there. Staring back, different name again. This time, Anna, still no bio. I hesitated. Then swiped right. Instant match. My phone buzzed. Anna, you always come back. My hands were shaking as I typed, me. Who are you? She replied immediately, Anna, I'm the part you keep burying. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then, me, what do you want from me? No reply for a few minutes. Then, Anna, I didn't want to go. Every bone in my body told me not to, but I needed it to end. I returned to the diner on a Friday night, just before closing. Same booth. The place was quiet, just one waitress and a cook in the back. She was already there. Same folded hands. Same stare. I sat down slowly. I'm here, I said. What is this? What do you want from me? She tilted her head like she was trying to decide whether I was worth talking to. I want you to remember, she said softly. I waited. She leaned forward slightly. You took me here. A long time ago. You sat there. I sat here. You laughed. Told me I looked better in person. I blinked. I've never been here with anyone else. You have. I shook my head. No, I'd remember you. Her voice barely moved above a whisper. You do remember me. You just don't want to. And then she reached into her coat and slid a photo across the table. It was worn and bent, like it had been in a wallet for years. It showed me clearly younger, maybe college age, sitting in this exact booth, smiling with her. Only, not quite her. Her face was softer, rounder. She had braces. Her hair was different. But those eyes, same stare. Same weight. I felt like I'd swallowed ice. This is photoshopped, I said, even though I didn't believe it. She didn't argue. Just said, you told me you'd call. That night. You never did. I stood up. I don't know you. Her eyes didn't move. You never even asked my name. The air around me felt thinner, like the whole room had tilted. I didn't do anything, I said. I know, she whispered. That's the point. I left. Again. But this time. She followed. I didn't see her in the rearview mirror. I didn't hear footsteps. But I felt her. Every room in my apartment felt colder. My mirrors showed smudges I couldn't wipe away. My phone kept glitching at 1:13 a.m. every single night. And every morning, on my kitchen table, a receipt. Same meal. Same message. Over and over. Don't leave this time. I started talking to myself out loud, repeating that I didn't do anything, that I didn't know her, that she was lying, until one night, I caught myself whispering her name in the dark. Not Lila, not Anna, but Emily. And when I said it, my bedroom light flickered. The memory hit me like a brick. Spring semester. Freshman year. I had taken a girl to a cheap diner off campus. It was a pity date. I barely listened. I was half on my phone the whole time. I told her I'd call her. I never did. She sent me a few messages after that. I never opened them. I ghosted her. It wasn't some big dramatic thing. Just a moment I buried, like 1,000 other forgettable nights. Until now. I sat in bed, shaking, staring into the dark. I whispered again, Emily? No answer, but the shadows on my bedroom wall began to move like someone sitting down. Right across from me. I haven't eaten since. Every time I try, the food tastes like ash. Every restaurant plays the same old diner music. Every waitress looks at me too long. I know she's waiting. Watching. And sometimes, when I pass a mirror or a window at night, I see her, sitting across from me. Folded hands, empty plate, hungry stare. And I know one day soon, I'll have to go back to that booth, order my meal. Sit with her. And finally stay until the end. The moment I saw her face pop up on Tinder, my stomach dropped so fast I thought I was going to pass out. It wasn't someone who looked like her. It was her. Same eyes. Same crooked smile. Same dimple on the left side that only showed when she smirked, like she was keeping a secret. Her name on the profile wasn't hers. It said Mel. But the pictures, there were only two, were 100% Alana, and Alana died last year. We were together for 3 years. She was my first real relationship, and I was hers. We broke up 6 months before her accident, but we still texted sometimes. I went to her funeral. I helped her sister clean out her apartment. I saw the casket. I stood over the grave, but there she was. On my screen. Mel, 24, 3 miles away. I stared at the profile for a long time. My thumb hovered over the screen, frozen between swiping left like a sane person, or right because I needed answers. I swiped right. Instant match. At first, I just stared at the "it's a match" screen. I didn't know what to think. I even closed the app, then reopened it. It was still there. I messaged her. Is this some kind of joke? No reply. I kept checking her profile. No bio, no links, no social media. Just those 2 photos. One was a selfie in the bathroom of her old apartment, the apartment I helped her move into. The second was a photo of her on a hiking trail we used to go to every fall. I knew it well because I took that photo. I hadn't posted it anywhere. In fact, I don't even think she ever had that copy. That night I barely slept. I kept thinking about the profile, about her face, the way she smiled. It wasn't like a ghost story smile. It wasn't haunting or strange. It was just her, real, like nothing had ever happened. The next morning I woke up to a message. Mel, I missed you. I felt like I was going to be sick. Me. Who is this? Why are you using her photos? The little typing dots appeared, then disappeared, then came back. Mel, why do you always do that? Pretend it didn't happen? I stared at the screen. I could hear my own pulse in my ears. Me. Did what happen? No reply. I waited all day. Nothing. That night I got a phone call. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but I did. No one said anything at first. I heard something in the background, though soft wind, maybe trees. Then a voice whispered, "You never looked at the last message." I hung up and threw my phone across the room. I knew what she meant. The last text message she sent me before she died, I never opened it. The day she died, she'd texted me a few hours before the crash. I was angry with her about something, I don't even remember what, and I didn't open the message. It's still in my phone. Still unread. I sat on the edge of my bed shaking. Staring at it. I tapped it open. It was just one line. I wish I could go back. The next day, her Tinder profile was gone. I searched everywhere, but it was like she'd been deleted from the app. I tried telling a friend. He thought it was a catfish. Someone probably downloaded her pics, bro, he said. Weird, but it happens. I almost believed him. Until the flowers showed up. A bouquet of lily, her favorite, was left at my front door, wrapped in newspaper. No card, no sender name. But the newspaper was dated exactly 1 year before the day she died. And the clipping on top? It was her obituary. I didn't leave my apartment for 2 days. I kept the curtains closed. My phone turned off. I just sat there, trying to understand what the hell was happening. Then, on the 3rd night, I saw her. Not in a dream. Not in a hallucination. She was standing across the street, wearing a hoodie I gave her for her birthday, hair tucked behind her ears the way she always did when she was nervous. I watched from my 2nd-story window. Barely breathing, she just stood there, staring up at my window, didn't move. Didn't speak. Just watched. And then she smiled, not wide. Not creepy, just that tiny, familiar smirk. like she was about to tell me a secret she'd been keeping for a long time. I didn't sleep that night. Every few minutes I'd check the window, expecting to see her face again. But she was gone. Just like that dot in the morning, I told myself maybe I imagined it. Grief does things to your brain, right? Maybe it was guilt, or exhaustion, or trauma still surfacing a year later. Except when I opened my front door, there was something waiting on the welcome mat, a photograph. One I'd never seen before. It was me sitting in my old car, parked outside the hiking trail Alana and I used to go to. It must have been taken from the passenger seat. She was the only one who ever sat there. The timestamp on the photo said it was taken 2 days ago. I don't even have that car anymore. I tried to distract myself. I went back to work, hung out with friends, acted like things were fine, but it followed me. Everywhere. I started hearing a phone vibrating. At night when mine wasn't, my music playlists would glitch and start playing. Her old favorite songs I'd deleted. I'd dream about her sitting on the edge of my bed, whispering, "You promised we'd figure it out." It was always that line, "You promised we'd figure it out." That weekend, I drove out to the hiking trail. I don't even know why. Part of me thought maybe I'd find something. A sign, closure. The trail was quiet, damp from a recent rain. The trees felt taller than I remembered, more overgrown. Like nature had started reclaiming the path. Or maybe I just hadn't been there since the funeral. I walked for maybe 15 minutes before I saw it. A jacket. Her jacket. The one she wore on our last trip here. The one she left in my trunk before we broke up. It was hanging from a tree branch, like someone had placed it there deliberately. I reached out to touch it. It was still warm. My mouth went dry. My skin felt cold. I turned around. She was standing on the trail behind me. I didn't scream. I couldn't. My brain just stopped. She looked exactly like she did the last time I saw her alive. But there was something in her face, some quiet sadness, that felt heavier than anything human. I whispered, "Alana?" She didn't answer, just looked at me, almost apologetically. And then she spoke. "You never let me explain." I didn't know what to say. She stepped closer. Her voice was steady, but soft. "I didn't crash on purpose. It wasn't about you. But I wanted you to know I thought of you." In that moment, right before, tears stung my eyes. I started, but my throat closed. She tilted her head, just a little. "You always ran when things got hard. But I never stopped waiting." Something about that cut deeper than anything else. Then she asked, "Why did you open the message now?" And I said the truth. "Because you came back." She gave me that small, sad smile again. The one I remembered from so many quiet nights in bed. The one she gave me when she didn't have the words, but still wanted me to know she was there. And then she said, "You don't have to run anymore." I don't remember getting back to my car. I don't remember the drive home. But when I woke up the next morning, my phone had a new notification. Tinder match. Alana. 23, 2 miles away. I opened the app. Same name. Real name this time. Same smile. Same profile pic from college. Only this time, she had a bio. One last chance to listen. I didn't swipe. I deleted the app. But later that day, I found a new voicemail. 30 seconds of soft wind, and right at the end, her voice whispering, "You're not done remembering. It's been 3 weeks now. I've moved. Changed numbers. Deleted social media. But I still feel her near me. Sometimes I see someone out of the corner of my eye in the passenger seat. Sometimes I wake up with her favorite song playing faintly through my phone's speaker, even though the battery's dead. Sometimes I get emails from an address that doesn't exist, subject line saying, 'You left me on read.' I don't know what she wants anymore. Forgiveness? Closure? A way back? All I know is, I was wrong. She didn't just die, she's still waiting. The first time I noticed something was wrong, it was just a weird sentence she said, something small, forgettable. She said, "You used to sleep with the light on when you were a kid, right?" We were on our second date. Casual rooftop bar. Music playing, lights low, conversation easy. She was funny, confident, and weirdly sharp. Her name was Mara, matched on Tinder the week before. Her profile was pretty normal, some candids, some travel shots, a dumb Zodiac joke in the bio. Seemed chill, but when she said that, about the light, I froze for a second. I never told her that. Never mentioned it on the app. Not in texts. Not in person. It's not even a detail I tell most people. Not because it's a secret, but because. Why would it come up? I just smiled and nodded. Yeah, I guess I did. She smiled back, like she was confirming something. Later that night, I kept thinking about it. Was it in one of my old tweets? Or maybe a comment I made in a thread? I searched everywhere: Instagram, Reddit, old blog posts, but nothing. That memory lived in my head and nowhere else. We kept talking after that. She was smart, knew a lot about music, books, film. But it started to get off. On our next date, she casually said, "Your dad used to take you to that little train museum when your mom worked weekends, right?" I dropped my fork. "I've never mentioned that," I said. My voice sounded a little higher than normal. She blinked. "Yeah, you did." "No, I didn't." She tilted her head and smiled like she knew something. IDN single quotes T. After that night, I started testing her. I'd tell her fake stories, harmless lies, just to see if she'd repeat them. But she never did. She only mentioned the true things. Things I'd never shared with her or anyone. In some cases, the exact spot on my forearm where I broke it falling off my bike at 10. The line my grandma used to say to me before bed. The first girl I kissed behind the library when I was 13. She would drop them in mid-conversation like casual trivia. Like she was reciting from a script I didn't know I'd written. I confronted her once. We were sitting on my couch. Movie paused, popcorn in her lap. I muted the TV. "How do you know these things about me?" She looked at me like I just accused her of stealing a pen. "I know a lot about you," she said. "Because I care, but I didn't tell you any of that." She smiled. "I'm just observant. No one's that observant." Her tone didn't change. "Maybe you're just not used to being known." I stared at her, suddenly aware that I didn't even know her last name. Or her job. Or where she lived. "Mara," I said slowly. "What's your last name?" She blinked. "You never asked. I'm asking now." She stood up. Why do men only get curious when they're scared? After she left that night, I went straight to the Tinder app. Her profile was gone. Deleted. Her text stopped coming. But my phone? My phone started glitching. Notifications would pop up, vanish. I'd get missed calls from numbers that weren't real. Once, my front camera turned on by itself when I was lying in bed, and then one night, I woke up to my phone buzzing with a new airdrop request. It was a photo. A picture of me taken from inside my apartment. I was asleep, shirtless, face turned to the side. The timestamp said it was taken 5 minutes ago. The next day, I went to the police. I showed them the photo, explained everything. The guy at the desk was polite, but clearly didn't buy it. He said unless I had proof someone had broken in or threatened me, there wasn't much they could do. Maybe it was a sick ex messing with me. I asked if they could trace the airdrop. He shrugged. Could have come from anywhere within 30 feet. Maybe a neighbor. That night, I unplugged my smart speakers, put tape over my laptop camera, moved all my electronics out of the bedroom, but it didn't matter, because the next morning, there was a note under my front door. It said, "You're more interesting when you're trying to hide." I didn't call the cops again. What would I even say? She knows things about me? She's sending me pictures of myself in my sleep? They'd either think I was lying or losing my mind, but I wasn't. Mara, or whatever her real name, was new things about me that weren't online, weren't even written down. Things I hadn't told anyone since I was a kid. Things I thought I'd forgotten. I stopped going to work. Stopped checking my email. I turned off my phone completely and left it in the kitchen drawer. Still, she got through. I'd find notes stuck inside my books, tucked into pages I hadn't opened in years. One said, "You were going to be a writer, remember?" I opened my laptop, Wi-Fi off, no connection, and found a video on my desktop titled, "Why You?" It was footage of me walking down the street, eating at a diner, rubbing my eyes in a library, reading in bed, all from outside angles, from behind doors, through windows. Some of it looked old, like it had been recorded months ago. She'd been watching me long before we ever matched. I started looking through my apartment, top to bottom. Every outlet, every vent, every drawer, and in the smoke detector in my bedroom, I found it. A tiny camera, no blinking light. Just a black dot, tucked deep behind the grate. I ripped it out with shaking hands and smashed it on the floor. My heart was hammering. I nearly threw up. Then I found a second one, behind a shelf. A third, inside the base of a lamp. How long had they been there? How many nights had she watched me sleep? I sat on the kitchen floor for hours, phone still turned off, laptop battery drained, just listening to the silence. Even that didn't feel safe. That night, I had a dream. She was in it, not Mara, not really. It was like a version of her. Her voice, but softer. Her body, but flickering, glitching like a bad video feed. She leaned close to me in the dream and whispered, "I only know what you bury." I woke up in a sweat. Breath caught in my throat. There was a sticky note on my chest. "Sleep tight." I snapped. The next day, I packed a bag and drove 2 hours north to my brother's place. He's got a cabin with no internet, no cameras, barely any cell reception. It felt safer. He wasn't there off on a work trip, but he said I could crash for as long as I needed. I left my phone at home. Took cash, no GPS. But when I got to the cabin, the lights were already on. I stood in the driveway for a long time, just staring. And that porch light flicked off, like someone was watching from inside. I didn't go in. I got back in the car, heart racing, and drove to the nearest motel. Paid cash. Didn't give my real name. That night I slept with the bathroom light on. Something I hadn't done since I was a kid. And just before I drifted off, I remembered what she said on that second date. "You used to sleep with the light on." I sat up fast. I turned off the light. I waited. Nothing. The next morning, there was a folded napkin slid under the motel door. Just one line, handwritten in red ink. "Told you. It's been a month now. I've moved cities. New name, new job. No social media. No apps. I use cash for everything. My laptop is in a locked drawer. My phone stays off unless absolutely necessary. But I still feel it, like something is leaning over my shoulder while I read, like someone is already inside every room I enter. Sometimes I think I see her face in reflections, just a flicker, but when I turn, nothing's there. And just when I think it's over, that she's finally gone, something shows up. A message on a computer that isn't mine. A voicemail from a number that doesn't exist. Or a new match request. Same eyes. Same smile. Different name. Always watching. I knew something was wrong the second she took the third left off the highway. We'd already been driving for 40 minutes. What was supposed to be a quick sunset and drinks kind of date had slowly turned into a trip deeper and deeper into nothing. No buildings, no cars, just pine trees and cracked asphalt. I checked my phone again, 0 bars. Just the emergency calls text mocking me at the top. I tried to play it cool. Hey, where are we actually going? I asked, laughing like I wasn't completely on edge. Jessa smiled small, like she'd been expecting the question. You'll see. It's my favorite spot. Nobody ever goes there. Her eyes didn't leave the road. We'd only been talking for about 2 weeks. Matched on Tinder. Quick flirty banter, swapped playlists. She asked me out first. Said she hated crowded bars and wanted something quiet and personal. Somewhere we can actually talk, she wrote. It didn't feel weird at the time. Honestly, I found it kind of refreshing. I didn't anymore. The sun was dipping lower behind the trees, turning everything orange and sharp. Shadows stretched across the road like fingers. I looked around her car. Clean, mostly. No smell. Phone mount on the dash, O-cord dangling. No red flags, except for one thing. The back seat. There was a tarp. Folded, clean, but still a tarp. And a small black duffel bag underneath it. I tried not to stare, but something about it felt wrong. Too prepared. Too intentional. You good? She asked suddenly. I jumped slightly. Yeah, sorry, just zoning out. She grinned. You don't trust me, do you? I forced a laugh. I mean, you are driving me into the woods. Fair, she said. But I promise it's worth it. 10 minutes later, the pavement ended. She drove onto a dirt path, the kind where tree branches scrape the roof, and the only sounds are gravel crunching under tires. I cleared my throat. I really don't think we're supposed to be out here. It's fine, she said. Trust me. You're gonna love it. But I didn't trust her. I asked again, this time more firmly. Seriously, Jessa, where are we going? She didn't look at me. Just a little further. My chest started to tighten. I pressed the side of my phone again, still no signal. I checked the time. It was past 7. We'd been driving nearly an hour, and then she stopped. Dead center in the woods. No cabin. No lake. No view she'd been talking about. Just tall trees, dirt, and the sound of wind. She turned off the engine and smiled. We're here. I didn't move. Where's here? You'll see, she said, unbuckling. Come on. She got out of the car. Walked around to the back. I stayed seated, heart racing. I heard the trunk pop. I told myself I was being paranoid. That maybe there was a trailhead nearby or a hidden overlook. Then I heard a zipper. She was opening the duffel bag. I got out slowly. My legs felt stiff. Jessa, what is this place? She stood at the back of the car, holding a flashlight and what looked like a pair of gloves. Why do you look so scared? She asked, genuinely curious. This is a lot. You didn't really tell me. She walked toward me, stopping a few feet away. Her expression softened a little. I know. I sprung it on you. I just didn't want to ruin it by over-explaining. I like bringing people here. You'll understand once we get there. Get where? I asked. She pointed past the trees. It's just a 5-minute hike. I didn't move. She smiled again, but this time it didn't reach her eyes. You can stay here if you want, but I promise you'll regret missing it. She turned and started walking toward the woods. I should have left, should have turned around, grabbed my phone, and sprinted until I had service again. But I didn't, because part of me was still hoping this was all just weird and not dangerous. That I was overthinking it. That she was just an intense, eccentric girl with a flair for dramatics. So I followed her. Like an idiot. The woods swallowed us fast. The light was fading quickly, and the trees grew denser with every step. The dirt trail barely existed, just broken branches and scattered leaves. My shoes were slipping. I kept glancing back at where the car had been, but after a few turns, it was gone. Almost there. She called ahead. I couldn't see her flashlight anymore. Just a dim pulse through the trees. Then I heard some kind of rustling up ahead, like something scraping across bark. I stopped walking. Jessa? No response. The forest was completely silent now. No birds. No wind. Just stillness. And then Dash snapped at a branch behind me. I turned around fast. Nothing there, Jessa? I called louder, still no answer. I stepped backward, and that's when I realized I couldn't remember which direction I'd come from. Everything looked the same. Same trees. Same shadows. Same silence. That's when I saw her, standing between two trees. No flashlight. No sound. Just her silhouette. I exhaled in relief. Jesus, you scared me. She tilted her head. Didn't say anything. I walked toward her. Can we please go back to the car? This is way too much. But she didn't move, didn't blink, didn't even breathe. I stopped walking. My stomach dropped. That wasn't Jessa. It wasn't her. I knew it before I even reached the tree line. The shape was off, too still. Her face was in shadow, but her posture was wrong. Like someone trying to imitate a human, but not quite understanding how bodies are supposed to move. I stopped walking. The figure tilted its head. And then it stepped backward into the trees. And vanished. I didn't think. I turned around and ran. Branches whipped my face. My shoes kept slipping on wet leaves. Every few steps I thought I saw movement to my side. Just flashes of something pale ducking behind trees, or the glint of eyes between branches. I couldn't breathe, and worse, I couldn't remember the way back. Eventually, I stumbled into a clearing. There she was. Jessa. Or at least, the Jessa I recognized. She stood in the center of the clearing like she'd been waiting. Calm, perfect posture. Flashlight off. I lost you, she said softly. I tried to steady my breath. What the hell is going on? You went the wrong way. What was that? I snapped. Back there someone was following me. She didn't answer right away. And then she said, too casually, some people don't know how to leave this place. What does that mean? She turned her head toward the treetops. You ever feel like someone's watching you, even when you're alone? That hum in your ears when the room is dead quiet? What? That's them. They live in the static. In the silence, I took a step back. You're insane. She didn't flinch. I told you this was my favorite place, she said. They let me come back because I bring them someone. That's how it works. I couldn't move. My legs felt like stone. She smiled faintly. It doesn't hurt. Not really. You just get emptied. I ran. I don't even remember deciding to. My body just went. I didn't look back. I didn't call her name. I just ran until my lungs felt like they were splitting open. Eventually, I saw the car. I fumbled with the handle. Locked. Her keys were gone. Of course, the road was dark now. The sun had completely vanished, and the trees on either side looked like they were bending inward, closing in. No signal. No flashlight. No idea which direction led back to town. So I ran again. I don't know how long I walked. Hours maybe. At one point, I swear I saw headlights in the distance. I waved, screamed only to realize it was just reflections in the trees. Eyes maybe. Or tricks of light. Either way, they disappeared when I got too close. And all the while, I could feel something following me. Not footsteps, not breathing, but a presence. Like I wasn't supposed to be leaving. Like something wanted to keep me there. Like it was already inside my head. At dawn, I found a road. Real pavement. Cracked but familiar, and not long after a car passed. I flagged it down like a man possessed. It was a hunter heading home. He looked at me like I'd crawled out of a grave. You okay, son? I nodded too fast. Just got lost hiking. Phone died. He drove me to a gas station 2 towns over. I borrowed someone's phone and called a friend to come get me. I didn't tell them what happened. ICOULDN single quotes D. Who would believe me? When I got home, I deleted Tinder. Changed my locks. Bought blackout curtains. Cut contact with almost everyone for a while. I tried to forget it. But then, a week later, I found something in my jacket pocket. A folded piece of paper. No writing. Just a smear of something dark across it. And the faint outline of a handprint. Too small to be mine. It's been 5 months. Some nights I wake up with dirt under my nails or twigs in my bed. My ears ring constantly now, like a high-pitched static hum I can't shake, especially when I'm alone. And sometimes I catch myself walking. No jacket, no shoes, just wandering toward the edge of the woods at the end of my street, like I'm being called back. The first time she asked to meet at 3 a.m., I laughed and said, "What is this? Some kind of vampire roleplay?" She didn't laugh back. She just said, "That's when I feel most like myself." Her name was Reese. Her profile was minimal, just 3 photos, all dimly lit. One in a hoodie on what looked like a bus, one sitting cross-legged in an empty parking garage, and one with her back to the camera, standing at the edge of a lake at night. No bio. No linked socials. Just her name and the line, "I don't sleep much." We matched on a Wednesday. Messaged a bit. She was dry, kind of intense, but smart. Her typing style was weirdly formal. No emojis, full punctuation. Like she was proofreading every sentence before she sent it. I asked when she was free. She said, "Tonight, 3 a.m., there's a park near you. Meet me there." I thought she was joking, but she sent the address. And it really was near me, about 10 minutes away. I didn't go that first night. It felt too weird. Too sketchy. What kind of normal person asks to meet a stranger in the middle of the night in a park? I texted her the next day, saying I overslept. She replied instantly, "No, you didn't. You were awake." That made my stomach drop. I had been awake, lying in bed, scrolling my phone, second-guessing myself until the sun came up. But there was no way she could have known that. I didn't reply. The next night, she messaged again. 3 a.m., same place. I asked why she was so stuck on that time. She replied, "Because that's when the world is quiet enough to tell the truth." I don't know why, but that line stuck with me, like it crawled under my skin. So this time, I went. The park was dead silent. One of those small local ones with a single swing set and a couple benches. All the street lamps were either off or flickering. It was cold. Damp. The kind of night where your breath fogs the air, even in spring. I waited. At exactly 3:01 a.m., she appeared. No sound. No car. Just walking out from the shadows near the trees. She was shorter than I expected. Pale. Long dark hair pulled into a low braid. Her hoodie had no logo. No color, just black like everything else she wore. "Hey," I said, trying to sound normal. She looked at me for a long time before nodding. "You came." We sat on a bench. Didn't talk much. She didn't ask about my job or my family or the usual first date crap. She asked me things like, "Do you think people change or just forget who they were? What was your last lie? Have you ever seen your own face in a dream?" Her voice was calm, almost flat, like she wasn't asking out of curiosity, more like she was checking off a list. After about 40 minutes, she stood up and said, "Same time tomorrow?" I didn't answer right away. Then she added, "You'll come." And I did. I don't even know why. There was something about her that drew me in. It wasn't attraction. It was more like gravity. The next night, we met again. Same place. 3 a.m. sharp. She remembered everything I'd said the night before. But when I asked her about herself, she'd changed the subject. She never talked about work, or family, or where she lived. When I asked what she did during the day, she looked confused. "I don't think about the day," she said. "I don't belong to it." This went on for a week. 7 nights in a row. Always 3 a.m. Always that same bench in the park. And every time I asked her something personal, her answers felt like riddles. Where are you from? Gives nowhere I could explain. What do you do? Gives I'm looking for something I lost. Why me? Gives you remember things. I didn't know what she meant by that until the 8th night. She showed up early. I was already there, couldn't sleep, couldn't stay away. I sat watching the empty swings and thinking about her strange questions. Then, I saw her, but she didn't sit beside me. She stood a few feet away, staring. You lied to me, she said. I blinked. About what? You said you didn't remember. I stood up. What are you talking about? She stepped closer. Her face changed. Not morphing but tightening. Like she was slipping out of a mask. You promised you'd come back. She said. Her voice was lower now, sharper, not angry, disappointed. You don't remember what happened in the lake? My chest tightened. What lake? She turned away and started walking toward the trees. Then she said, without turning back, let's try again tomorrow. That night, I dreamt of water. Cold, black, endless. I was standing at the edge of a lake at night, just like the photo in her profile, and she was in the water. Reaching out, but I didn't go in. I turned around and walked away, and I could feel her sinking. Dream didn't go away. Every night after that, I ended up at the edge of that lake. Always dark, always silent. And she was always there, just beneath the surface, her face pale and motionless, hair drifting around her like it was trying to reach me, but I couldn't move. I couldn't go in. I just stood there, frozen, watching her fade into the black. When I'd wake up, my mouth would taste like lake water. My sheets would be damp. Once, my fingernails were full of sand. I didn't go to the park the next night, but that didn't stop her. At exactly 3 a.m. My phone buzzed. No name. No number. Just a message. We're not done. I turned the ringer off. Laid back down. Closed my eyes. At 3:06, someone knocked on my bedroom window. I live on the 3rd floor. The next morning, I checked the outside. No footprints, but there were 3 wet handprints on the glass, small and pale, like someone had climbed up just to say, you can't avoid this. I started digging. Went back to her Tinder profile, but it was gone. Deleted. No trace. Like she'd never been there. I scrolled back through our messages. They were still there, but when I clicked her name, the page glitched. Blank screen. White noise in my earbuds. One message slowly typed itself in the chat window. The lake remembers. That night I went back to the park. I told myself I was just curious, but the truth is, I needed answers. I needed her to tell me what was happening. I needed her to explain. She was already there when I arrived. This time, she wasn't sitting. She was standing in the middle of the field, barefoot, staring up at the sky. When I stepped closer, she spoke without turning. You said you wouldn't let go. Her voice was flat, familiar, like a lullaby I'd forgotten. I said, Reese, I don't remember. I swear. She turned to face me, but it wasn't the girl I'd been meeting every night. She looked younger, softer, wet hair clinging to her face, eyes wide with hurt. Then she said something that made the blood drain from my body. You told me it would only be a few minutes. The memory hit like a train. Not recent. Not even from this life, maybe. I was standing at the edge of a lake. She was in the water, laughing, treading water while I stood on the dock. She asked me to stay. I told her I'd be right back. Just going to grab something. A towel, my phone, whatever. But I never came back. I don't know why. Maybe I got distracted. Maybe I forgot. But she didn't. She sank, alone, waiting for someone who said they'd come back. My knees gave out. I didn't mean to leave you, I whispered. She knelt beside me, voice softer now. I waited for so long. I kept thinking you'd remember. Tears hit my face before I could stop them. She reached out and placed her hand over mine. It was cold, soaked through, like she'd never really left the water. You didn't hear me screaming, she said, but you heard me dreaming. I looked up at her, shaking. What are you? She smiled faintly. I'm what you buried. I don't remember walking into the woods, only that she led me. Silent. No shoes. No sound except our footsteps on dead leaves. We came to a lake, small, still, black as glass in the dark, and I knew this was it. This was where it happened. She stepped into the water without hesitation, turned to me and said, "Now you remember. So now you decide." Decide what? To leave again, or stay this time. She disappeared beneath the surface. No splash, no ripple, just gone. I stood there a long time. I don't know how long. And then I stepped in. The cold hit fast, bone deep. My breath caught. My skin burned. But I kept walking. One step. Another. Until the water closed over my head. They found me the next morning. Half submerged. Barely conscious, murmuring her name over and over. There were no signs of anyone else. No footprints. No evidence anyone had been with me. Except they pulled something out of my fist. A soaking wet hoodie string. He told me he was an artist. That's how he introduced himself on Tinder. Painter. Quiet type. Looking for a muse. I should have known then, honestly. That line alone should have been the red flag. But the photos were good black and white portraits of him in loose t-shirts. Messy studio in the background. Arms smudged with charcoal and oil paint. He had that whole lonely artist vibe. And I'd just gotten out of a breakup with someone who barely knew how to spell his own name, so it felt like an upgrade. His name was Colton. He messaged first, asked thoughtful questions, complimented my taste in books, made me feel seen. By the end of the week, he invited me to see his studio. Not in a creepy way, he said. It's just hard to explain my work over text. You kinda have to experience it. I hesitated, but he didn't push. He even sent me the address first, told me to let a friend know where I was going. Seemed safe. God, I hate that word now. The studio wasn't what I expected. It was outside the city, like way out. Tucked at the end of a dirt road behind some abandoned warehouses. I almost turned around when I saw the building. Just a long windowless brick shell with a rusted roll-up door and a side entrance with peeling white paint. But then the door opened, and he waved from inside. Sorry, he smiled. It looks worse on the outside. He wasn't lying. Inside was surprisingly clean cement floors, high ceilings, tall walls covered in canvases, paint splatters everywhere. A strong chemical smell hung in the air, turpentine. Maybe, but it wasn't overwhelming. He handed me a LaCroix, asked me to take off my shoes to protect the floor finish, and gave me the tour. His paintings were weird, dark, violent, huge canvases of twisted faces and bodies that looked like they were mid-scream. Almost abstract, but too detailed to ignore. They're all based on dreams, he said. I asked him if they were his. He paused, then said, Some are. Some aren't. He led me toward the back of the space, past a black curtain separating the front from a hallway. Main stuff's back here, he said. I followed him down a narrow corridor lined with more artwork-framed photos this time. Black and white portraits of women. None were smiling. I stopped at one. The girl looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. She's beautiful, I said. He smiled. She was. I looked at him. Was? He didn't answer. Just turned and kept walking. The hallway ended at a heavy door. Industrial. Steel. Like something out of a meat locker. He unlocked it with a key from around his neck. Inside was colder. Smelled sharper. Like bleach and something. Metallic. I hesitated in the doorway. This is where I keep the serious pieces, he said. Flipping on a single overhead light, it flickered, revealing the room in slices. There were no paintings in here, just mannequins, dozens of them, each one posed, each one dressed, each one wearing a wig, long, dark hair braided just like mine. I laughed at first, nervously. Okay, this is kinda creepy. He didn't laugh. They helped me visualize the final form, he said. It's part of the process. I turned to leave the room, but the door clicked shut behind me. I heard the lock turn. Hey, I said louder now. Open that. He stood in front of the door, calm as ever. I've never had one look so much like her, he said. My throat tightened. Like who? He didn't answer, just took a slow step forward. I tried to move past him, but he blocked me. Don't make this difficult, he said. It's not what you think. What is it then? He looked at me like I was being dramatic. You wanted to understand me, right? You said you liked art that was visceral. That doesn't mean I want to be part of it. Another step forward. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small cloth pouch. I made this for you, he said. It's your hair. From the first night we met. You didn't even notice me take it. I didn't scream, I didn't beg. I looked around. One light, one locked door, and walls lined with half-naked mannequins that all looked just a little too close to me. And I ran. I don't know how I got past him. Pure panic, maybe. But I shoved him hard enough that he stumbled and hit one of the mannequins. It cracked. Snapped in half like it was hollow, but when it hit the floor, something rolled out, something that wasn't plastic. Tooth. Human. The tooth clinked on the concrete like a marble. Real, stained, yellowed. At the root. It stopped spinning right at my feet. I looked down, then at the cracked mannequin, then back at Colton. His eyes didn't move. He was just watching me, studying my reaction. I didn't mean for that to fall out, he said softly. I turned and ran, didn't matter where. Just away. I slammed into the steel door, locked. Obviously, I spun around, frantically searching for something, anything to break it open. He stayed exactly where he was, still standing between the mannequins like he was part of the display. You're not like them, he said. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear. You fought. You ran, that's good. I reached for a metal stand in the corner and swung it at the door's handle. It bent, screamed against the metal. Didn't break. Colton took a slow step forward. I screamed, louder than I thought I could. Raw, full-body sound. I didn't care who heard, just that someone would. He flinched, and in that split second, I grabbed the light fixture above and yanked. It came down in a shower of sparks and glass. The room went dark. I ran blind. Crashed into a mannequin, tripped, got back up. Kept running. My fingers scraped the doorframe to the hallway. I slammed it behind me and kept going. Behind me, I could hear him breathing, not yelling, not chasing. Just breathing. Slow, calm, measured. Like he didn't need to run. Like he knew I wouldn't get far. I burst back into the main space of the studio and almost slipped on the polished floor. Shoes. Where the hell were my shoes? Forget it. I made for the exit, yanked the handle and stopped. There were locks. Multiple. New ones I hadn't noticed when I came in. Deadbolts, chains, a heavy-duty padlock. Across a metal bar that hadn't been there before. He locked me in while I was looking at his art. I backed away from the door just as I heard the sound of footsteps approaching. I ducked behind one of the large canvases. My breath was shaking. Every part of me was electric with panic. Colton's voice echoed through the room. I used to be bad at this, he said casually. Messy, impulsive. They screamed too early. I couldn't get what I needed. He stepped into view, still calm, like this was a conversation over coffee. But then I learned how to take my time. Learn their rhythm. Watch how they move. He looked around the space. Not at me yet. Just admiring his own setup. It's not about the final piece. It's about the process, capturing something real. That moment where terror becomes truth. I moved, quiet, low, toward the work table, paint cans, brushes, rags, and scissors. Sharp ones. I grabbed a pair. He kept talking. They always try to leave. It's a beautiful instinct. Survival. I respect it. His tone changed, slightly got softer. But you came here. On your own. He paused. Didn't you? I stood up fast and slammed the scissors into his arm. He screamed finally and stumbled back, crashing into a stack of frames. I didn't wait. I lunged for the keys around his neck, yanked them so hard the strings snapped, and sprinted back to the door, hands shaking. I tried every key in the lock. 1, 2, 3, click. I threw the deadbolt, unchained the door, and burst outside barefoot into the cold night. I didn't look back, not when I reached the main road, not when I flagged down a car, not even when I heard sirens in the distance after. I borrowed someone's phone at a gas station. Colton was gone by the time police got there. Studio empty. The mannequin's gone. The tooth? No sign of it, but they did find traces of blood under the floorboards. DNA. Linked to a girl who'd been reported missing 8 months earlier. Her Tinder profile had disappeared days before she vanished, just like mine almost. I told the cops everything, every detail, every room, every word. They were polite, took notes, said they'd look into it. But I saw it in their eyes, the disbelief, the doubt, because nothing stuck. No physical proof. No Colton. They asked if I remembered his last name. I didn't. He never told me. Just Colton. Just artist. Just another blank profile on a dating app where anyone can become whatever you want to see. It's been 4 months. I don't use Tinder anymore. Hell, I barely leave the house. Sometimes I check missing person sites just to see if any other girls disappear after talking to someone like him. So far, 3 different cities, different names, but the photos are always the same. Black and white, dark backgrounds, no smiles, and every one of them hair braided just like mine. The first time I stepped into her apartment, I noticed something was off. Not messy, not creepy, just off. Too quiet, too clean, and completely mirrorless. No mirror in the hallway, none in the bathroom, not even the kind people hang in bedrooms just for decor. At first, I figured maybe she just hadn't finished moving in, but everything else was perfect. Throw pillows placed just right, dishes stacked neatly, soft jazz playing from a record player that looked untouched but expensive. I asked casually, "You just move in?" She shook her head. "Been here 2 years. No mirrors?" She shrugged, almost like it hadn't occurred to her before. "I don't really need them." Her name was Lena. We matched on Tinder a couple weeks before. She was calm, thoughtful, didn't flood me with emojis or dry texts. Everything she said felt measured, like she was choosing her words carefully. But not in a fake way. I liked her. She had this vibe that made you want to be quiet around her. Not in a bad way, in the way where silence felt like part of the conversation. Our first date was coffee. Second was dinner. Third, she invited me over. That's when I noticed the mirror thing. And how dark the apartment felt. Even with the lamps on, not dark like bad lighting. Dark like shadows stayed where they weren't supposed to. I didn't ask more questions that night. She cooked us pasta. We watched a movie on her tiny couch. She curled up next to me, without a word. It was one of the most peaceful nights I'd had in a long time, but something kept tugging at me. A whisper in the back of my head that wouldn't shut up. There were no reflections anywhere. The oven door, the windows. Even her TV was one of those matte screens. No shine. It was like she'd designed the place to erase herself. The second time I stayed over, I brought it up again. We were lying in bed. It was past 2 a.m., her head on my chest. "Okay, don't take this the wrong way," I said. "But the no mirrors thing is kinda spooky." She didn't answer at first. Then she said, "Some people don't like being seen." I thought she meant insecurity, like body image stuff. So I said, "You're beautiful though." She didn't move, didn't even lift her head, just said, "That's not what I meant." After that night, things got weirder. She wouldn't let me take pictures of us. She never FaceTimed. Anytime I called her at night, her camera stayed off. One day I jokingly said, "You a vampire or something?" She didn't laugh, just stared at me. Then said, "Would it matter if I was?" I tried brushing it off, but the more time I spent in her apartment, the more I noticed things didn't make sense. She had no family photos, no framed memories. Her fridge was full, but I never saw her eat. She always offered me food, made me meals, but she never touched them herself. And once, when I got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, I caught her standing in the dark hallway. Just standing, back perfectly straight, facing the blank wall like she was watching something only she could see. She didn't flinch when I walked past. Just whispered, "He's almost finished." I didn't ask who he was, didn't have the courage. I went back to bed and pretended I didn't hear her. A few nights later, I got curious. She'd gone to take a long bath, her version of me time, and left her bedroom door open. So I snooped, not proud of it. But something was off, and I needed answers. There was no makeup, no wallet, no purse, just books, notebooks, journals stacked high on her desk, each one labeled with a date range. I opened the top one. Inside were drawings, dozens of them. Every page filled edge to edge with the same sketch. Over and over, a man standing in a hallway, watching. The hallway looked familiar, exactly like hers. I froze with the journal open in my hands. Page after page, the same faceless man standing in her hallway, always watching. Sometimes closer, sometimes in the doorway of her bedroom, sometimes right beside the bed. No eyes, just dark ovals where they should have been. But the shape of his shoulders, his height. I slammed the book shut. Footsteps. Slow, wet, coming up the hallway. "Were you looking for something?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but the kind of calm that hides teeth. I slid the notebook back into place and forced a smile as she stepped into the room, her hair dripping, leaving a trail of water behind her. Double quotes, "No, just waiting for you," I lied. Her eyes lingered on the desk for a long second before she nodded and said softly, "Come to bed." That night, I couldn't sleep. She curled into my side like nothing was wrong. But I lay awake, heart pounding, listening to the soft buzz of the fridge and the distant hum of the building. At some point, I saw movement, a shadow, in the hallway, tall, still. I blinked hard. Gone. I told myself it was my imagination. But I didn't sleep a minute. The next morning, I tried to bring up the journals. Tried to be casual. "Hey, I noticed you draw. I didn't know you were an artist." She stared at me over the rim of her coffee mug. "I'm not an artist," she said. "I'm just documenting." "Documenting what?" She smiled, small, tired, the changes. Before I could ask, she stood and said she needed to get ready for the day and walked toward the bathroom. She didn't close the door. Just turned the tap on and stood there, head down, hands braced against the sink, like she was afraid to look up. At a mirror that wasn't there. Left right after. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't text. I just needed breathing room. But when I got home, I felt wrong. Like I'd forgotten something. Like something had followed me back. For the first time in days, I walked past my hallway mirror and I stopped because my reflection didn't. I moved my hand. It hesitated, half a second, but I saw it. I stepped closer. My reflection wasn't matching my breathing. My chest was rising too slow, too controlled. Then it smiled. I didn't. I stumbled back. Heart in my throat. My phone buzzed. A message from Lena. He saw you. I didn't go back for 2 days, but she texted constantly. You can't avoid him. Reflections are hungry. Mirrors are doors. He recognizes you now. I blocked her, but the texts kept coming. Different numbers. Unknown contacts. Same messages. Every last one ending with, come back before he does. On the 3rd night I gave in, if only to make the nightmares stop. To shut her up. To prove to myself I wasn't actually losing my mind. I arrived at her building around midnight. The hallway lights flickered like always. The air smelled like damp concrete and dust that never settles. I knocked once. The door opened. Immediately she wasn't behind it. The apartment was dark. The living room lamp flickered dimly, barely illuminating the couch. Lena? I whispered. Something shifted behind me. I turned. She stood inches away. Her eyes were wide, terrified. She grabbed my face with both hands. You have to listen to me, she whispered, breath shaking. They imitate first. They learn. They replace. My voice trembled. Who? She shook her head violently. Not who, what? She stepped back like she needed space to breathe. I didn't remove mirrors because I hate them, she said. I removed them because one day, my reflection blinked at the wrong time. My skin crawled. He watches me from the other side, she said. And one night, he'll step through. I swallowed. Why show me all this? Why me? She laughed, not with humor, with fear. You already know the answer. She pointed to the hallway. I didn't want to look, but I did. And there, in the shadows, was a figure. Tall, still, exactly like the drawings, except now. The face wasn't empty. It looked like me. Same eyes, same jaw, same terrified expression I had in that moment. He stepped forward, and I realized something was off. His movements were delayed, like he was watching me first, then copying. A puppet without a puppeteer. Lena grabbed my arm. Don't let him learn you any further. Once he's perfect. She didn't finish. The lights went out. I ran. I didn't grab my shoes. Didn't look back. I just sprinted out of the apartment and down the stairwell, practically throwing myself into the street outside. Only when I reached my car did I look up again. Her window. She was there. But her face was wrong. Her smile too wide. Her head tilted too far. Her hand pressed flat to the glass at an unnatural angle, like a puppet trying to wave. I drove straight home, checked every mirror. Hallway clear. Bathroom clear. Bedroom clear. I stood in front of the living room mirror and stared at myself. Not me. I whispered. It stared back, expression blank. Then it smiled first. I covered every reflective surface in my apartment. Sheets, towels, tape, anything I could find. No mirrors. No reflections. No doors left open. But I know that's not enough. Because last night, I woke up to the sound of glass shattering. A mirror I had forgotten about, shoved in the back of a closet, had burst into pieces. And from inside that closet, I heard breathing. Slow, measured, practicing. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Same guy, different name, new profile. Every time I opened Tinder, he'd show up in my stack. Not always first, not always obvious, but always there. The face didn't change. Late 20s, strong jawline, buzzed hair, calm brown eyes. Not a stock photo, not that polished, but too consistently perfect to feel real. The first time, I swiped left. Just not my type. Then he came back. Different name, Jason. Same photo. Left again. Then Matt. Same face, slight smile. Then Tyler, then Noah, then Chris. Always the same exact face. I screenshotted them, showed a friend. She laughed. Catfish parade, she said. Tinder's full of bots. But bots don't send personalized messages. And on the 6th time he showed up, I swiped right, just to see. We matched instantly, and I got a message within seconds. "There you are." That gave me chills. I replied, "Have we talked before?" "Yes." "Under which name?" "All of them." I unmatched right away. Deleted the app. Something about it felt off in a way I couldn't explain. Not just creepy, intentional. But a few days later, I re-downloaded Tinder. I told myself I was just curious. But I think deep down, I needed to see if he'd come back. He did. New name. Same face. This time his bio said, "I remember everything." I didn't swipe. Just stared at the screen, heart hammering, closed the app. Threw my phone across the room. It buzzed almost immediately. New notification. From an unknown number. "You don't have to swipe to let me in." I stopped sleeping well after that. Felt watched. Started checking my windows at night. Started seeing things in reflections that didn't look quite right. And every time I opened Tinder, even just to check something, he was there. Not always first, but always waiting. Same eyes. Same smirk. Different name, but always him. One night, I had a weird dream. I was scrolling through Tinder in the dark. Alone in bed, swiping endlessly. Same face. Again and again, I kept swiping left. And each time, he got closer. First, just a headshot. Then chest up, then waist up, then full body. Standing in a room I recognized. By the end of the dream, he wasn't on my phone anymore. He was standing at the foot of my bed. I woke up gasping, and that's when I saw it. A new message. No sender. Just text on my lock screen. Closer now. I called Tinder support. The next day. I showed them screenshots. Told them I thought someone was stalking me using their app. The guy on the phone was sympathetic, but didn't sound convinced. Unfortunately, if the photos don't break our guidelines and they're not verified, we can't do much, he said. It's probably just someone messing with you. I asked how many times the same face could be uploaded. He hesitated. Then he said, officially. As many times as someone wants. Unofficially. We've seen cases where it's not even an upload. What do you mean? He lowered his voice. Sometimes the face gets generated by the algorithm. When users swipe enough, patterns emerge. The app learns what they fixate on. So, you're saying it built in for me? I'm saying. It knows what holds your attention. I haven't opened Tinder since, but he still shows up. In emails, spam filters, suggested friends on Facebook. Even once, in a Spotify ad. I swear it was him in the stock footage, smiling too long at the camera. And now, every night at exactly 2:33 a.m., my phone buzzes. No number, just one message, let me in. I stopped opening my phone at night. I kept it on airplane mode, locked in a drawer, shoved under a blanket. Didn't matter. At 2:33 a.m., it still buzzed. Once. Every night I stopped checking the message. I already knew what it would say, let me in. I started seeing him in public. Not fully. Just pieces. A profile at the grocery store. A reflection in a bus window. A man across the train platform who looked almost like him, except his head turned too slowly. His blink was delayed. Each time I'd look away, each time I'd feel him smiling. I asked myself if I was losing it. I Googled symptoms, paranoia, hallucinations, delusional episodes brought on by sleep deprivation. Every answer made too much sense. But then something happened that snapped me in half. My phone rang, middle of the day. No caller ID. I picked up expecting silence. But the voice that answered was mine. You really should stop fighting it. Click. I ran to the bathroom, stared into the mirror. I looked normal, tired, pale. But me. Then I blinked. And my reflection DIDN single quotes T. It kept watching me. Smiling, not maliciously. Calm, patient. Like it knew something I didn't. That night I gave in. I reinstalled Tinder. Logged in. The home screen loaded. Fresh stack. First card, him. No name this time, no age, no distance. Just a caption under his photo, "You're ready." I stared at it for what felt like forever. Then I swiped right. Instant match. Message appeared right away. "Good choice." Then a second message. "Look behind you." I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I knew it was a trick. A sick mind game. I wasn't going to fall for it, but I looked. No one there. Just the hallway outside my bedroom. Empty. I turned back to my phone. New message. "Closer now." I slept with the lights on that night. No phone. No screens. But I still dreamt. And in the dream, I wasn't me. I was him. Standing in a room that looked exactly like mine, wearing my clothes. Typing messages with my thumbs, watching me sleep. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was my phone screen lit up. Unlocked. The Tinder app was open. Message thread pulled up. The last message was from me. Sent at 2:33. "Aim. I'm ready." I went to the mirror again. This time, I didn't blink. Just stared. Waited. And watched as my reflection smiled first. Then it whispered something I'll never forget, even though I never saw its lips move. "It's okay. You're tired. I'll take it from here." I smashed every mirror in my apartment that night, covered screens, taped over my webcam, deleted every app, every trace of social media. I even got a burner phone, but nothing changed. He was still there. In my email inbox, in TV commercials, in faces on the street that all blurred together until they looked like him. And now, something worse has started happening. People around me act different. Friends forget things I told them. Coworkers call me by the wrong name, his name. Even my mom, on a call last week, said, "It's so nice to hear your voice again. You sound more like yourself lately." I don't think they know what's happening, but I think he does. I don't know how much longer I'll be me. Some nights I wake up with the Tinder app open. No memory of touching it. The chat thread always empty, except for one line, floating there like it was typed by no one. Logged in successfully. His profile was completely blank. No bio. No job, no school. No linked socials. Just one photo. It wasn't even a clear one, just a dimly lit face. Maybe mid-30s, partially turned, with the shadows doing most of the work. Something about it felt unfinished, like the image hadn't fully loaded. His name was Elias. No last initial. No age. Tinder showed him about 2 miles away. I don't know why I swiped right. Maybe I was bored. Maybe the mystery felt harmless at the time, but the moment we matched, I got a message. "Elias. Thank you." That was it. Not "Hey," not "How are you," not even a corny pickup line. "Just thank you," I replied, joking. "Me. For what?" He answered instantly. "Elias. For seeing me." Something about that gave me goosebumps. Still, I told myself he was just awkward. Or maybe one of those artsy types who try to sound deep on dating apps. So I asked, "Got any more photos?" He replied, "I don't like how I look in pictures. But you'll see me soon." I'll admit it, I should have unmatched. But something about the whole thing intrigued me. I was going through a lonely stretch, and part of me wanted something weird to shake me out of my routine. We texted for a few days. Or rather, he texted. Always vague, always short, but somehow still too personal. He knew things about me. Said I looked tired lately, even though I'd never sent a photo. Told me he liked the sound of my laugh, even though I'd never called him. When I asked how he knew those things, he said, "You leave windows open." I thought he meant online. Like digital footprints, social media crumbs. That kind of thing. But now I'm not so sure. After a week of this, I told him I didn't think it was going to work out. No hard feelings, but I needed someone a little more normal, someone who actually showed up. He didn't reply. The next day, I woke up to a message. No words. Just a photo of me, asleep in bed. Hair pushed back. my blanket half off, the lamp on my nightstand casting a warm yellow glow exactly how I leave it. My mouth went dry. I stared at the photo for a long time before texting back, "Me, is this a joke?" No reply. I waited all day. Nothing. That night I slept with the lights on. Every light. I checked the locks 3 times. Put my desk chair against the door. I even opened the closet and left it that way, just to prove to myself no one was inside. But I didn't sleep, and when the sun came up, I felt worse, not better. I deleted Tinder. Blocked the number. Then I got a new phone. New number, new case, new SIM, new everything. For about a week. It worked. Nothing strange happened. I went back to normal. Laughed with friends. Got back into work. Thought maybe I'd overreacted, until I got a package. No return address. No postage. Just sitting on my doorstep. Inside was a single Polaroid. It was me. Again, only this time I wasn't sleeping. I was brushing my teeth. Looking in the mirror, and in the photo I wasn't alone. Behind me, in the hallway, a blurry figure. Face turned. Watching. I called the police. They were polite. But like before, no break-in, no damage, no cameras catching anyone nearby. Just file a report and let us know if anything escalates. I installed security cams all over my place. One in the hallway, one in my room, one facing the front door. I even added a motion sensor outside my window. And then I waited. I didn't go out. Didn't invite anyone over. I just sat in silence watching the feed. 3 nights in. The hallway camera glitched at exactly 2:14. A.m. Just for a second. Enough to cut out. When it came back, there was a note on the floor. Written in black marker on torn paper. "You still see me." I didn't sleep after that. Couldn't. Every shadow in my apartment felt like it might move. Every creak in the walls made my skin crawl. I turned the cameras off. I couldn't take it anymore. A few days later, I saw him. Not in person. Online. Not on Tinder. He was gone from there. He showed up on a Facebook friend suggestion. No mutuals. No profile pic. Just the name Elias again. Still no info. No posts. I reported it. Blocked it. An hour later, I got an email. Subject line: "This is better than pictures." Attachment: a 3-second audio file. It was my voice. Laughing. I hadn't recorded that anywhere. I didn't even know the audio had finished playing. I was too busy staring at the waveform, replaying it over and over. It was definitely me. My voice, my laugh. My real, unfiltered laugh. Not the polite one I use at work. Not the awkward one when I'm nervous. The one I only make when I forget anyone else is around. But I hadn't laughed like that in weeks. He was watching me in real time. That night, I called a friend, someone I trusted. I told her everything. Not just the creepy messages or the photos, but all of it. The shadows. The hallway camera. The audio. She listened for a while, then asked, "Do you still have his name?" "The one from the Tinder profile." "Just Elias," I said. "No last name." "That's it." She paused. "You know that's not a name, right?" "What do you mean?" She started typing on her end. I could hear it. Then she said, "Elias isn't a common name. In folklore, sometimes it's used for not a person, a placeholder, a watcher, an empty." I laughed, but it came out shaky. What the hell is an empty? A shell. Something that imitates a person. Something that fills in a blank space you open yourself up to. I almost dropped the phone. That night I didn't go to bed. I didn't even sit down. I unplugged everything. Threw all the cameras in a drawer. Turned off the lights. Just sat in the middle of my living room. In the dark, listening. And at 2:14 a.m. exactly, I heard it. 3 knocks. Not on the door. From inside the apartment. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Then I heard footsteps. Slow. bare feet against hardwood, coming from the hall. I stood up, every part of me shaking, and grabbed the nearest object, a lamp, useless but heavy. I crept toward the hallway. The footsteps stopped. The hallway was empty. No figure, no sound. But on the wall, right next to my bedroom door, written in something dark, "Do you still see me?" I left that second. I ran barefoot into the street, didn't even look back. I called the cops again. They came, checked the apartment. No signs of forced entry. No messages left behind. Nothing on the walls. They looked at me like I was cracking up. Maybe I was. They offered to file a report. That was all. I didn't go back inside. The next few days were a blur. I stayed with a coworker. Tried to go to work like nothing happened. But something had changed. Something inside me. I kept checking reflective surfaces, mirrors, windows, black screens, because I started noticing things that didn't match. Angles that were off. Sometimes I'd catch my reflection blinking when I didn't, or moving a little slower. I started feeling followed everywhere, even in crowds. Especially in crowds. Once, on the train, I turned around suddenly and locked eyes with a man near the door. No expression. No earbuds. No phone. Just watching me. And when I moved to the next car, so did he. That night I re-downloaded Tinder. I know how it sounds. But I needed to see if he was still there, if I could confront him. End it. Get answers. I swiped for hours. Hundreds of profiles. Until finally, there he was. Same name. Same half-face photo. No bio. Only now. The distance said 0.1 miles away. I messaged him. Me. Where are you? He replied instantly. Elias, behind you. I spun around. Empty street. No footsteps. No cars. No one watching. I messaged again. Me. What do you want from me? Elias, you invited me. The screen glitched. The app closed on its own. My entire phone went black for 10 seconds. Then the screen lit up again. New message. Not on Tinder. Just plain text. No number. No contact. I only exist when you're alone. It's been a month. I don't talk to anyone anymore. I moved cities. Changed everything. But I can still feel it, him. Or it. Whatever Elias really was. Watching me from every corner. I forget the light. Every camera I cover. Every part of myself I try to hide. I think he wasn't a person. I think I swiped right on a space I didn't realize was open. A blank profile. Empty. Waiting to be filled. When he showed up to the bar, he looked confused. I was sitting at a booth, third drink halfway gone, already buzzed enough to believe this date could turn into something. He walked in, same guy from the photos. Clean-shaven, soft jawline, dark hair buzzed short, leather jacket. He looked around, spotted me, then froze. I smiled, waved. He walked over slowly, cautiously, like I might bite. I stood and went to hug him, but he pulled back just enough for it to be awkward. You're, Jess, right? Yeah, I said, trying to keep it light. And you're Ben, from Tinder, he blinked. I don't use Tinder. I laughed. Not like I thought he was joking, more like a nervous glitch in my throat. You're kidding, right? We matched last week. Been messaging since Saturday. You picked this place. He stared at me. Something in his face flickered, not recognition. Something else. You messaged me? He asked. Now I started getting annoyed. I pulled out my phone and opened the app. Match history. There he was. Same photos. Same name. Same smile. I turned the screen toward him. Explain that then. He looked at the screen. Then at me. His face went still. That's not me. I left not long after that. He didn't stay either. Said something about this being weird and I should go. I told myself it was some elaborate prank. Maybe he had a twin. Or maybe I was being messed with. But when I got home, the match was gone. Not unmatched. Just gone. No record. No chat thread. No name. Like I'd hallucinated the entire thing. The next morning, I got a message. Not through the app. Through Instagram. An account with no posts. No followers. No bio. Just a DM. Why did you show him? I didn't respond. Instead, I clicked the profile image. It was the same guy. Ben. Same weird. Two still smile from the Tinder photos. But when I refreshed the page, the image changed. Now he was closer. Still the same blank background, but his face filled the frame. Eyes staring directly at the lens. Like he was leaning toward me. I blocked the account. 2 hours later, a new one messaged me. Same photo. Same name, same message. You weren't supposed to show him. I started to feel like I was being watched. Checked my windows. Unplugged the smart TV. Covered the webcam on my laptop. But the messages didn't stop. Different accounts. All with versions of his face. Each time, the photo a little closer. By the 5th message, all I could see were his eyes. That night, I got a phone call. No number. I answered, half out of panic. Half out of curiosity. Silence. Then, you should have let him forget. The next day, I went back to the bar. The same one from the date. I asked the bartender if he remembered me, and the guy I was with. He gave me a strange look. You came in alone. Sat there for like an hour, left without ordering food. You didn't see who I was talking to? He shook his head. You didn't talk to anyone. I started to spiral. I dug through every chat log, every photo, every possible trace of Ben on Tinder. Nothing. No screenshots. No saved messages. Even my browser history was wiped. Like the app had never been opened. And then I got another DM. You were happy to forget before. Why dig now? I sat in my room that night with every light on. I opened my phone. I turned on every app. Every trace of myself. And there he was. On Tinder again. Same photos. Same name. No distance. Just the word, here. He was back on Tinder again. Same face. Same smirk. Same blank expression behind the eyes. But this time, his profile didn't say Ben. It said, I remember what you forgot. I stared at it for a long time. Then I swiped right. Instant match. Message appeared right away. You're almost ready. I typed back. Me. Ready for what? Ben, to know what you did. That night I had the dream again. Same room. Same bar. I was sitting across from him, but he looked different. Younger. No leather jacket. No smirk, just sad. I was yelling at him. I couldn't hear what I was saying, but I knew I was angry. He looked hurt. Disappointed. He got up and walked out. And in the dream, I just sat there, arms crossed. Let him go. I woke up shaking. I didn't remember ever having a fight like that. Not with him. With anyone. I started digging. Not just into my phone, into my own memory. Old journals, emails, cloud backups, photo archives. And deep in a folder labeled MISC 2021, I found something I didn't remember saving. A video. I clicked it. It was me. At a table. Filming myself on my phone. Propped up against a water bottle. I was crying. He won't stop messaging, I said in the video. I told him it was over. But he keeps popping up. On different apps. Different names. Same photo. I blocked them all. I'm done. I don't want to see him again. I paused the video. Rewound. Looked closer at the screenshot in my hand. The one I was showing the camera. The profile photo. Ben. I did know him. He wasn't a stranger. He was my ex. The one I ghosted. The one I told everyone was too much, too intense, couldn't take a hint. I had wiped him clean from every platform, blocked his numbers, erased our photos, deleted the chat thread on Tinder. I convinced myself I'd never matched with him in the first place. And eventually, I believed that until he found a way back in. That night I went back to the bar. The one where I was supposed to meet him. The one I said he showed up confused at. It was empty. Closed early. But the front window caught my reflection as I walked past. Except, it wasn't just mine. There were two of us standing side by side. Same face. One smiling, the other not. He was waiting for me. Not in person. In the mirror. I flipped on the light and nearly screamed at my reflection. Blinked late. Too slow. It didn't smile when I smiled. It just watched. And then, it lifted a hand to the glass. Pressed it flat. Do you remember now? It said, though its mouth never moved. I dropped the phone. Backed away. Ran into the hallway and slammed the bathroom door. No mirrors in there. No reflections. Just cold tile and buzzing silence. And the growing, creeping truth. I hadn't just erased him from my apps. I'd erased him from myself every time. I unmatched, blocked, swiped left. He came back, not because he couldn't let go, but because I never really did. He became the glitch in my memory. The hole I paved over so I didn't have to feel guilty. And now, he's what's left of everything I refused to confront. I tried one last time to delete Tinder. Opened the app. His profile was waiting. This time, the name just said, me. And the message was already typed. Waiting for me to hit send. I see you now. I pressed back. Home screen. Phone froze. The screen reflected my face for a second. Too long. And the version of me in the glass smiled just a bit earlier than I did. I don't think he's trying to hurt me. I think he just wants back in. Wants to be remembered. Wants me to finally say, yes, that was real. You existed. I did this, and maybe that's worse than being haunted.